You don't need fifth row center seats to have a great night at the theater, but no one wants to spend a fortune on a show that doesn't deliver. Hi, everyone. I'm Roma Torrey, and in this edition of Broadway Unscripted, we are exploring Broadway Bargains, how to see shows for less. Sometimes the balcony can be just as thrilling, but sometimes maybe not. Joining me live are Logan Colwell-Block, managing editor at Playbill, who, among many other things, keeps track of rush tickets and lotteries. Welcome, Logan. Hello. Playbill is an indispensable guide both for the shows themselves and for people navigating what can be a complex theater buying system. And we have Nella Vera, the Vice President of Marketing and Communications at TDF, known as the Theater Development Fund, an organization with a robust discount theater program. TDF is a rite of passage for theater lovers worldwide for many years. And actually, it's been 50 years. Fans have made the pilgrimage to Duffy Square at 47th Street and Broadway, waiting in line at the TKTS booth, or as Sherry Renee Scott said in her show, the Ticketus. In 2008, Red Steps became Times Square's glowing amphitheater crown, the palace where Broadway veterans and newbies connect and commune. It is iconic. So Nella, I want to start with you. For anyone told, just go to TKTS, what do they need to know now? And over the years, there have been some changes. What's still there? What's not there anymore? And who is TKTS really for in 2026?
Yes, thank you, Roma. It's so great to be here. The TKTS booth sells same-day tickets for Broadway shows and off-Broadway shows, as well as a few select attractions like the Radio City Music Hall Spectacular and things like that. We also sell matinee tickets on the day before for matinee shows. So they're basically last-minute, same-day inventory for Broadway shows, and we've been doing that, since the booth opened back in the 70s. No longer have hard tickets. It's all computerized this time, but you do have to go in person, which is always a great experience because you meet people and you make friends and you meet tourists from all over the place. The one thing that has changed for us, we started selling only half-price tickets, and now there's a range of prices. Most of our tickets are half-price, but there's some shows that are discounted slightly less, so 40% or 30%. And then the main thing that people should know is that we have an app, so you don't actually have to go in blind. You can look at the app and you can see what's available at any given time. So right now I'm looking at the app, and for tonight's 7 o'clock show, I can see Anne Juliet, Aladdin, Bug, Hadestown, MJ. So there's a huge variety of shows available, and the app is really helpful because it'll let you know if tickets are available so that you don't have to leave your house until you've determined that there's a show you want to see. So we really encourage people to use the app. It's also, this same information is available on the TDF website as well. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask, when I used to go, it was always half price, but you say it's not just half price anymore. Is it more than, can we save more than half price?
It's not more than half price. I think half price is the most popular discount that we have. So for example, Stranger Things tonight is 50% off. We do have a few select shows that maybe have a much more limited inventory that still want to be listed and make discounts available, but they can't quite get to that threshold. So there's a few shows that are at 40%. And then there might be an occasional show at 30%, but the majority of our discounts tend to be the 50% off. That's kind of what we're known for. And those are the tickets that sell the quickest. So if you're looking to fill your house and you're a producer, the half price point will make sure that you have a full house for that night.
And are most of the Broadway shows on there, even the most popular ones, Hamilton, Wicked, Lion King?
We haven't had a Hamilton, Wicked. Lion King has been on, but very, very occasionally. But the rest of the shows are up there that normally wouldn't be available via other discounts. Something like MJ or Oh Mary is up there right now. Outsiders is up there. So we do have a pretty good selection of shows. but perhaps not the Hamiltons, which actually makes us happy, right? Because we want to know that the industry is thriving and that we still have those sort of, shows that anchor Broadway that people want to come see. And so we're there when people need us, but we're also thrilled when our producing partners don't have to discount their tickets.
Yeah, and we don't want to discourage the folks who are listening in, because there are ways to get cheaper tickets to Hamilton and the bigger shows, but we'll get to that in a minute. Logan, I want to turn to you because we know that the best seats in the house, and the name of our series here is Fifth Row Center. But to get Fifth Row Center, you do generally have to pay a lot more money. And I was thinking about we saw an interview with Audra McDonald talking to Jake Gyllenhaal about their respective shows in the springtime, and Jake was in Othello, and it was an impossible ticket to get for less than hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I mean, I think a friend of mine had asked if I could help them get cheaper seats to Othello, and it was like the cheapest ticket was $700. And so in this interview, Audra jokingly said to Jake, "I can't even afford to see your show now." So let's lay it out here. What could somebody and not like Audra, because she's, a superstar celebrity, but just an average theater goer, what could they have done to get into a blockbuster show like that, like Othello, for less than $700? And is that even possible?
I don't remember every price point that particular production had. It was kind of famously first party, very expensive because of the stars that were in it, as we all know. So that was a bit of a special situation. I do think even in those moments, there tend to be seats somewhere in the theater that they're selling for less than $700, if that's the typical good ticket price. And a really good thing to do if you know far in advance that you're going to go see this show is be on top of it right when tickets go on sale and get those tickets. Those are always the first to go. Mm-hmm. I also have to say, when Nella was reading the list of shows that are on TDF right now, I feel like sometimes people have this image in their mind of the TKTS booth being almost like a clearance bin or something for Broadway, and it's really not. It often has big hit shows that happen to have some amount of tickets that are left for that night. Yeah. So I think it's always worth checking into. But actually, my number one best tip as a fan, as a former going and sit in front of the theater like we're talking about today for many years when I first moved to this town, is I know we're going to talk about rush tickets, which happens in the morning when the box office opens, but right before curtain is another swell time to go to a box office. You would be surprised if they have a couple seats left, and usually those seats are those premium Fifth Row Center seats. More decision-making is left up to whoever happens to be behind that box office window than you might think. And I have gotten seats, fifth row on the aisle or whatever, center orchestra, 2 minutes before our curtain time for a rush price because someone was nice and was kind to me.
You can get lucky. No, exactly.
It's true of sold out shows. When Hamilton was brand new and sold out for months and months and months, I knew people all the time that were getting not cheap tickets. That wasn't happening over there, but they could get cancellations and get into a show that they didn't think they could find any ticket to for months all the time.
My producer, Karen Garfin, did an incredible thing. And as we had mentioned this in our first episode when we were trying to help people navigate the system and get cheaper tickets. And so I'm going to give her all the credit. We researched all of the possible resources for locating discounted tickets. And so we have a graphic up here we put together. There are 11 possible ways to save, but there are what we have listed some 44 resources for folks to navigate. And I want to kind of take them in order here, at least initially here. The digital lotteries are the most popular way for folks to get their tickets. And Nella, you had mentioned that TKTS offers a digital option as well. We had done a story on the Broadway League report about a month ago, and one of the questions asked, because they were doing a deeper dive on demographics. One of the questions that was asked was, where do you go to get your tickets? And the most popular source was Today Tix. And so I want to point that out because as you can see up on the screen, Today Tix has Rush and Lottery. So Logan, what is the difference? I know a lot of people are very confused about Rush tickets versus Lottery, and I know there are great deals to be had with those two, but how do they work?
Well, a rush ticket generally means that it's a last minute ticket. I don't want to say this definitively, but I think it's always day of that you can get a rush ticket. It's typically when a box office opens, and sometimes that's only in person, and sometimes that's also digitally on your phone. So, at 9 a.m. or maybe even at midnight, if it's digital, you could get a ticket for that day. So they're giving you a deal on the ticket, but you're not able to, you're paying for that by not being able to plan out your theater going. It's not necessarily for sure that you're going to get that ticket, not once you've bought it, but beforehand, because it's subject to availability, whatever they happen to have that day, and whatever they're putting into a rush, selling as a rush ticket that day. So that's a great option, especially because it's just completely based on who's there first, which I am fond of. It's a nice way to kind of be conscientious and make sure you're in the best situation for a good ticket. A lottery is really like a raffle. Like you enter a contest and they draw a certain amount of people who win the opportunity to buy some amount of tickets, usually at a heavily discounted rate. It's usually in the like $40 to $50 range. And depending on the show, actually, this is true of rush tickets too. Depending on the show, your seats could be anywhere. There's some shows that like to save the front row for those seats. So you make sure you have your most passionate fans right in the front, and that's fun. Sometimes they're whatever is not sold that day. It just depends. The tricky thing about lottery that I have noticed since we've gone digital is since you don't have to be there in person, everybody that is available in New York or maybe in the tri-state area can join from their phone. So they have become considerably more difficult to win. But that doesn't mean that you don't win or can't win. And I'm not telling you that as a stupid person entering the lottery all the time, like money lottery. You can actually win them. If you're going with a friend, you and your friend both need to enter. So you have two entries. A lot of times they'll give you an extra entry if you share on social media. So that's a fun thing to do too. It's a great way to see Broadway for less, for sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it Hamilton that started the lottery system, the ham tickets?
I think the lottery and rush systems started in earnest with Rent back in the day, back in the early 80s.
Makes sense.
Yeah. They used to camp out outside the Nederlander Theater like overnight, which is not, especially right now, as cold as it is at night, sounds horrifying to me.
So I'm looking here at this list. So it's Today Tix is, I guess, the most popular, as we said. But then there's Broadway Direct Lottery, Telecharge Lottery, Lucky Seat, Broadway at the National. And that's for National Tours Lottery. So. Yeah.
And I think it's important when you say that, it's not like, oh, I could decide to go to Today Tix or I could go to Broadway Direct. Shows partner with specific companies when they're doing digital rush and lottery. So if you're after seeing a show and you don't care what the show is, then you could go directly to one of those websites or apps on your phone. But if you're wanting to see a specific show, always step one is go to the show's official website and find out where they want you to go to find that ticket.
Okay, that's good to know. TKTS is available to all people. I mean, everybody has access to the TKTS booth and the digital opportunities, but there is a membership that people can join at TKTS, which is a little bit different. And it's not all that easy to get into, right, Nella? How does that work?
I think it's easy to get into. I mean, first of all, it's the TDF membership, which is been around for a very long time. And what we do is we sell heavily discounted tickets. So our tickets are actually 70% off. So you get a bigger discount by being a TDF member than going to the booth. So for example, right now our Broadway shows are selling for about $51 to $62, $63. And that's the max. That's the most you will ever pay for a Broadway show. Off-Broadway starts at $11. That's an even bigger deal. So if you're looking to go to an off-Broadway play, it's really quite affordable. and off Broadway, it's super, super accessible. The thing with TDF is that Broadway producers make tickets available to us because they're targeting demographics that normally perhaps couldn't afford a full price ticket. And so they trust us to distribute those tickets to people who qualify for the tickets. And we have 13 different categories of people who qualify. So it's actually almost everybody is eligible. You do have to provide some proof. So we do vet people, but the categories include students of all ages, 30 and under, teachers or school staff, union members. So like the whole entire Actors Equity population is eligible. Nurses are eligible. Teachers are eligible if you have a union card. People on disability, retirees, government employees. If you work for a nonprofit organization of any type, you're eligible. If you work in the arts, you're eligible. Just have to provide proof that you're working for a producer or a general manager or, front of house. If you're an artist, if you're a member of the armed forces or veteran, clergy, freelancer. So we have 13 categories. That's a large number of the population. And that being a member allows you the privilege of being able to purchase these highly discounted tickets. And I do want to say something. Our tickets are never in the balcony. Our TDF tickets are pretty famous for being amazing seats because they're at the discretion of the box office on the day of the show. And so if people go to our Instagram, you will see constantly people uploading their seat views, and they're always pretty much in the orchestra for the most part. And the same thing with TKTS, people love to upload their views because, as you know, New Yorkers love a bargain. So they love to say, I'm at Hadestown in the 6th row, thanks TDF. And you'll see that all over our Instagram as well. But so it is a gated membership. It absolutely is gated, but there's 13 categories. So a lot of people are eligible.
And what is the cost for a membership?
It's $42 a year to be a member. And then you're able to purchase as many tickets as you want, up to 9 per show, but as many shows as you want.
That's for everybody, the students as well as, the average.
Yes,
Yeah.
We also have a free membership for high school students who are graduating. Every year we gift any student who is graduating from a public or charter school a free membership called the TDF's graduation gift, or grad gift for short. And we've been doing it now for 3 years. This is our 3rd year. Students get a free membership and they have access to tickets that are up to 85% off. So producers give us $20 tickets for them. So a young person who's 19 can go see Hadestown for $20 or $22. So that's an even bigger deal. And that membership is free, but you have to be a graduating senior and have from a New York public school. So we have all sorts of programs. I mean, our company is all about breaking down the barriers to attendance. So we have, for example, we have a veterans theater going program where those tickets are free, and we work with different organizations and we bring veterans in groups to the theater. So we have we have an education program. So, bring 12,000 school kids a year to see theater for free. So we have various programs, but our most popular program is the TDF membership. People are very passionate about their memberships.
Well, now I should say too, it's not just a service that you're buying when you do that. You're also supporting all of those programs that Noah was just speaking about. TDF is such a great organization that does a lot of stuff, even more than what she was just saying. So it's kind of a double whammy when you go through it that way.
Yeah. Well, Nella, you had mentioned group rates, and, I think in reference to veterans groups, but I also know that we're talking to a theater insider, and a lot of people aren't aware of this. You don't need to be part of an organization with a group to go in. You could just form a large group of people, a bunch of friends or family members. And I don't know what the cutoff is there, but
cutoff is 10. Which I have to say sounds high, but it's really not. If you're planning a night out on the theater, you can get to 10 very quickly. And especially if you're trying to go see a show that is hard to get tickets to, you can find 10 people very easily to go in with you and get a great deal on a group ticket.
Yeah, well, that's another tip that I don't think most people are aware of. We we have to point out that ticketing, particularly for Broadway, is a science. And I've always been annoyed by the fact that I hear people getting really discounted seats at a particular show, and a seat in a section or even in the same aisle as somebody who had to pay full price. Why? That it doesn't seem quite fair. People get gouged so often without realizing that there were other options that they could have employed to get lesser priced tickets. Nella, why is that? How is that working? And is there a scam that's going on that people should be aware of?
It's not a scam. It's I think right now most shows employ dynamic pricing, and dynamic pricing is based on an algorithm, very much like with the airlines. And it works both ways, right? So if you are somebody who's constantly searching, for example, I go on a show site and I'm searching for a certain price point, the algorithm will remember that and probably show you more options for that price point. Or if you don't purchase right away, it might lower the price slightly so that you make that purchase. If you visited that site 4 or 5 times and clicked on that seat, but you're on the fence, it might know that, oh, if we lower that price by $20 or $30, that person will make a conversion. So it works both ways, both in increasing the prices when shows are selling out and knowing that the last remaining seats are very valuable, like on a Saturday night. People are willing to pay whatever. You've got a date with your wife, you got to get those seats. And so it'll raise the price. But at the same time, it also works in the other direction. So, that is the reason for the discrepancy. And we like to think about it as it's sort of a personalized approach to selling tickets. Like, what is somebody willing to pay? And the algorithm tries to adjust. Is it perfect? No. But generally, it does try to make the sale based on the customer's preferences.
Yeah. I go ahead, Logan.
If you think about it, it's like not that far off from the concept of like an airline ticket, because if I manufacture 5,000 toasters and I don't sell them today, I can sell them tomorrow. But at 8 o'clock, if that seat is empty, it's empty and it never gets sold. So I think that's a lot of why the price changes more than, stuff at the CVS or whatever down on the corner. But it's just like Nella said, like, if you see a show announced that you have to see and it's the greatest thing you've ever heard of spoken ever before, then you're probably going to want to pay for a full price ticket beforehand and get a good seat. There may be other things that is more of I have a Thursday night and I'm going to go to the TKTS booth. That's just part of the decision making. Part of that increased price at the ticket is, that's what you're paying for.
Yeah, I mean, it can be very complicated to navigate. When I asked about a scam, only because I read that interview with Andrew Lloyd Webber in the Times, and he was asked about dynamic pricing, where producers can gauge how much more they can charge, particularly for those better seats in the orchestra. And he said it's racketeering. He can say that. Do you guys agree? I mean, is there something going on that we should be wary of? And are there sites that we should avoid?
I mean, I think to jump in, I think the market bears certain price points, and the news loves to talk about the $800 or the $600 seats. But the average Broadway ticket last year, I think, was $130. And there's so many tickets that are sold below that. So like our TDF tickets get factored into that 130 average, and our tickets are $50 to $60. So there's a price point on Broadway for everybody. And I hate that the press puts so much attention on those higher prices, scaring people off, because Logan's right. There's lotteries, there's rush tickets. You can go up last minute and make a deal with that treasurer and he'll help you find a seat you can afford. And so that, there's all sorts of programs out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Direct mail offers discounts. So if you get a mailer, and Logan's right. If you buy early, you can get access to those maybe side mezzanine seats for a really hot show. I think my Othello ticket was only like $130, which is more than I normally pay, but I was going to go see it. But I bought it early on because I knew it would sell out. So I
Yeah.
said, I'm just going to get that side mezzanine seat now before all the Denzel Washington fans buy them up. So I think the press loves to sensationalize the high price tickets, and they do exist, but there are also people willing to pay for those seats to a certain extent. As we have so many price points on Broadway.
I would say when people get mad about ticket prices, I'm like, if nobody was buying it, then it wouldn't exist. Believe me. Supply and demand would fix that real fast. I think too, when you're talking about specific sites and like places to get tickets, it can get a little scam is maybe is a strong word, but once you start talking about non-first party ticket sellers, you can have all sorts of fees that you don't need to be paying necessarily. And the way that I always it's just like I said earlier, it's always a good first place to go to a show's official website, because for the most part, they're going to be linking you to somewhere that that there's a first party, their first line of where they're selling tickets, and will have the least amount of other people tacking on fees so that they can make their own money on top of that ticket price. Really strange. Like I think the TKTS booth and TDF and maybe Today Tix a little bit are kind of the only ones that you might not necessarily see linked to directly on a show website. But I'm sure you can think of many other websites that exist that people buy theater tickets from, and they're not scams. They are usually good seats, but you do have to be more careful, and you might be paying a scalper fee, for lack of a better descriptor.
Yeah. You have to be judicious about that. By the way, Nellie, you paid $130 something for Othello. If only Audra had talked to you first. You may hear from her. You guys have been a fount of information, and I'm going to cut it off here. But folks, we hit the tip of the iceberg here. On our website, fifthrowcenter.com, we have the entire list. And I am sure people watching have more we can add. So everyone, please visit our page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will follow up with even more ways to make live theater accessible to everyone. Logan, Nella, thank you both for joining us. Really, you were so helpful, and I think we all learned quite a lot. In our next Broadway Unscripted, we dissect the spectacle versus the story. From AI wizardry and Stranger Things to the magic of Harry Potter, we will explore when cutting-edge effects enhance the story and when they take over. And then later, Marquee Madness. It's the end of the theater season climax with a bunch of show openings in the next 2 months. And we're going to take a deep dive into all the new plays and musicals arriving on Broadway and beyond. And still ahead in this show, more on the discount program, bringing New York City school students to Broadway for free. We profile Broadway bridges, and we'll have my review of the mixed reality play An Arc at the Shed in Hudson Yards, starring Ian McKellen, sort of. And by the way, if you're looking to see a show in New York City, but you're not sure, email us. We can give you some ideas and recommendations and some tips. You can write to us at stagedoor@fifthrowcenter.com. Thanks, everybody.